What's going on, guys? This is Friday, January 22nd, our another edition of our NHL DFS puck drop here at Fantasy Sports Insight. I am Hold the Door DFS, our NFL or NHL coach here at FSI. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button below. We greatly appreciate all the support you're giving our channel, and just throw a like, click that thumbs up. That shows me that you're enjoying the content. And what I also love is all the comments that we've been getting lately, lineup questions, line stacking, theory, all those strategy, those types of things. I love answering those. So if you have any questions about NHL DFS or tonight's slate in specific, please put that down below. One other thing is, starting tomorrow, I am going to add to the end of this segment is stacking. So some of my favorite expensive stacks that you can also pair with some more value stacks, which is a popular strategy you'll see deployed by a lot of sharp players in the industry. So after the goalie position, then I will go over some stacks. I will just kind of mention a couple of them today, but I'll actually have that on in the segment starting tomorrow. So thanks a lot for the support. Let's get into the slate. This is a crazy slate, I think, just from the perspective of we have consistently had, one or two studs every single slate that you're deciding between. And now we get all of them on one slate. The Penguins are going to come in with the highest implied total here. The Pittsburgh and New York Rangers game is expected to be the highest scoring, along with the Maple Leafs and Toronto, which we obviously saw that game play out 2 nights ago now. And it was a little bit disappointing compared to what we were looking for, right? We were looking for Matthews with 2 goals and an assist, and McDavid with, a goal and a couple assists, and everybody in just game stacking that game. Now, I think that's definitely another viable option, and I saw sharp players do that. So if you can make the salary work to do something like that again, I definitely think it's viable. But I do think it is difficult to really game stack it when everybody is so highly priced. So the Maple Leafs, a 3.5 implied total here. Avalanche, a 3.3 implied total. The Blackhawks, a 3.2 implied total against Detroit, and the Oilers, a 3.1 implied total. So the Avalanche will be the biggest money line favorite here tonight, minus 215. If you are new, that means they have the highest expected chance of winning, and they are taking on the Anaheim Ducks. They did get beat last night late against LA. So I think, they got to keep putting the pedal to the metal. I think they had like 20 shots on goal, like midway through the second, and then they ended with something like 26. So really poor second half of that game from the Avalanche. The Golden Knights come in as a minus 165 favorite again against Arizona, which we saw them kind of just dismantle them the other night. And Max P continues to just tear it up. He's had a goal, I think, in every single game this year. Penguins a minus 160 favorite with that big of a total. I think there's definitely reason to consider them in today's matchup. All right, here's the center position. And I didn't even put Sidney Crosby on here. He is definitely viable in a phenomenal matchup. The reason I don't think I got to somebody like putting Sidney Crosby on here is because the top was so heavy that I don't expect in cash. I don't expect them to be as popular as what these 3 at the top will be. So now you likely can't play all 3 of these guys because the value is starting to soak up, at least at the winger position. We used to, you're not getting, hey, here's the number 1 overall pick. Actually, we do get that today, but the number 1 overall pick skating on the first line, getting first power play unit at minimum price. We don't get that, but we do have some other great values still on this slate. But I do think that you will probably have to pick on where you want to go here. And I will say, I do think Nathan McKinnon and Austin Matthews have the highest floor between the 3 of them. I think the game environment will obviously be best for Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid. And then I think just as a team, Colorado is obviously the biggest money line favorite on the slate. And they would be that would give somebody like Nathan McKinnon like a super high upside. He had a goal and an assist last night in the first period, and still got the shot on goal bonus, but didn't really add too much more onto that. But if you can get something like that in the first period, and anything else after that is just like gravy, I think I like that. And in Anaheim just like invites pressure. Yeah, they try to slow the game down like LA, but they're like Gibson's just going to get peppered tonight. So I think Colorado's in a great spot from a DFS perspective. Leon Draisaitl getting a massive price discount down to $7,000. I think he's definitely in play as a $1,300 discounted play for Edmonton to counter McDavid. I prefer McDavid, but I think when you're getting a big discount, I think it at least makes you open up your eyes and consider what could be with Leon Draisaitl, unless for some reason at morning skate today we get that those two are going to pair up. Then I think those two being a viable pairing is definitely in play, because those two correlate really well and play really well together on the same line. John Tavares, 6.6K. Again, it's kind of like going over the same thing slate after slate with him versus Matthews. Matthews, we know, I think, is the more elite talent, a higher upside, but Tavares has been phenomenal this year. But if I don't have to worry about salary, I prefer Matthews. If I consider salary, then it becomes a lot closer. Dylan Larkin in a dream matchup in what is a awful Blackhawks team right now. I don't think a lot of people will go to him because they don't want to stack the Red Wings, but I think you can definitely stack him and Mantha or him and stack their power play unit with somebody like Bobby Ryan, who's been phenomenal, which I don't really love him, but I guess in GPPs, if you want to make a power play stack against Chicago, you can certainly do that. The mid-range, Malkin at 6.3K, I think will be actually really popular if they're not paying up for two studs, because of the matchup, the highest implied total, and the biggest, not the biggest favorite, but one of the highest game totals of the slate. Hurdle and Couturier, I think, are in decent spots against the Wild. I think the Wild have played decent against bad teams, and San Jose is still bad, but they're better offensively than the teams that they have faced. So I do think there is some value here in what I think is some underpriced Sharks players on the entire slate. So Hurdle and Couturier are definitely in play for me in the mid-range. The value, and have Rope Hintz, I could have pronounced that wrong, for Dallas, is I think going to be on that top line for them. And I believe Sagan is going to be out. So I think 4.2 is really cheap for him in a matchup against Nashville, who has not been very good defensively to start the year. Eriksson Ek, 3,900, who's been a phenomenal value play for the Wild so far this season, in another great matchup with a team that has decided not to play defense this year, and that is San Jose. Eric Stahl, a former Wild, now playing with Buffalo on the second line, has been a great value as well. Somebody that just his caliber of player, he's going to see ice time. He's going to see some volume. Definitely can pay off that 3.3 price tag. Nick Bonino skating on the top line. In the last game, had 5 shots on goal and a goal. We kind of talked about this in our Discord channel. Like, Nick Bonino had a phenomenal game and was in a great position with who he was around when you get bumped up to the top line. But I do have to think you do have to take into consideration him as an entire player, that this is not a regular performance from him. Like, this is to me more of an outlier. Like, the 5 shot on goal bonus and even a goal is not something that you're going to see out of somebody like him, who's a defensive center and really focused on face-off wins and those types of things. So let's get to the winger position. That is, to me, a lot thinner at the top compared to what we saw at the center position. Mikko Rantanen can be paired up with Nathan McKinnon, 7,400. Obviously can also be paired up with Landeskog, who I think is 7.1, which at this point, I'd just rather have Rantanen, and I don't think I'm going to be full stacking. I mean, in GPP, you can certainly use the full stack or even add in Cale Makar from the defensive position. Patches, Max Pacioretty, 7,300 seems absolutely way too cheap in a matchup that he has already dominated this year. And Patrick Kane in a matchup against the Red Wings, normally with just how bad they are in general, they've actually been pretty good offensively, have been still scoring goals, or they did at least against Florida. And Patrick Kane is just on the ice so much, and when they score on the power play, there's almost a 80 to 90% chance that he is either scoring the goal or assisting on the goal. So Patrick Kane at 7,200. I do think that tonight is a night that he sees the 5 shot on goal bonus as well. Taylor Hall, talk about shot on goal bonus. He's been firing at the net at will. I think 6 or 7 shots on goal in his last game. You could pair him with Jack Eichel. I think he is in actually a really sneaky spot with a team of Washington, who's going to be likely they won't have their stud. They won't have Ovechkin. That's why Ovechkin's not listed on here, going through the COVID protocol, and some of their other top players. So I think that is what also makes one of my favorite goalies of the slate. But also I think that you can definitely stack the Buffalo side of this game. And Olofsson, I don't have listed here, is also pretty cheap at, I think, 4.5 or 4.6K as well. The mid-range, DeBrincat, I like pairing with Patrick Kane, and those two have been elite on the power play as well. 5,900 is a really nice price tag. Kevin Fiala in a dream matchup against San Jose's defense. I think people will be off of him after the poor performance last game, even though he had hit that 5 shot on goal bonus all 3 games prior to that. And now we're getting like $1,000 discount on him. And I think it's mainly because of how loaded this slate is that his prices got pushed down. And then you have Victor Arvidson, who's been off to a phenomenal start to the season, getting a matchup with the Dallas Stars, who should be okay defensively. But, the first game of the year, we've seen with a lot of these teams, it's even looked worse that first game than it might the rest of the year. So Arvidson is a great mid-range play at 5,500. On the value side here, it's nothing amazing. Parisi, 4,400. Tuck, who had a phenomenal 30-point game against Arizona last time, 4,100. I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong, and I know he was the first overall pick in 2020. Renwer. I don't even want to pronounce it, but he is the Rangers. Let's just call him Laffy. Let's just call him Laffy. He is the Rangers' #1 pick in 2020, and he is already going to be skating on the top line tonight with Micah Zibanejad. So I do have that pronunciation down. And then we have Dominic Cahoon, who has been pretty bad, but it's just more of an opportunity thing. He's been skating with Leon Draisaitl. 2.8K, maybe he gets an assist. The defender position, we finally get the discount here on Brent Burns, 6,200. I think he is firmly in play. I think these top 3 studs that I've listed here can be deployed as a 3-man cash game defenseman pool. Pietrangelo, Theodore, and Burns all playing north of 25 minutes of ice time, all phenomenal floor plays with upside. So I think you can consider all of them on this slate. So Morgan Riley, I think, would be a decent pairing to stack the Toronto and Edmonton game, like I mentioned before, but I don't think he is a must. In the mid-range, looks like I have a little bit of formatting errors, but I do know the prices here. So Matt Dumba, I like at 4.9. Alec Martinez is also one of the ones that is continuing to benefit from Vegas only running out 5 defensemen. He is listed, I believe, at 4.6 and always is in play for shot on goal bonus. Darnell Nurse, 4.3K, still insanely cheap for the floor and the talent of somebody like him in a great game environment. Tyson Barrie is also priced around the exact same thing, was one of the most popular defensemen on the last slate. I expect him to be pretty popular here as well. Jonas Brodine at 3.5K is skating, 23, 24 minutes of ice time, is putting the shots on goal, blocking shots. I think this game is just going to be so up and down in terms of pace that a good pace, like up and down the ice. I think Brodine or any value plays here could definitely pay off. Savard, I think, is pretty cheap here for. Savard is not playing on this site, so get him out of there. I don't know how I got him, but Harley is playing for Dallas, top power play unit and top pairing. Probably going to be the most popular value play, I think, at the defensive position. If you are punting here, you will be giving up some equity in some guys like Pietrangelo, Burns, and Theodore. And if you are new to NHL DFS, like the reason that these prices are so appealing, okay, if you take these 3 defenders and then you compare them to the same price points of these guys, of players in the same price range in the winger and center position, you're getting so much higher floor with pretty much an equal ceiling, in my opinion, with most of these guys, because of the shot on goal and block bonus. That kind of gives you that ceiling if they don't get that goal or an assist. So these guys, if they were priced as wingers or centers, you'd be looking at more than 7K in my opinion. So the goalie position, Grubauer will be back in net after losing tonight against LA with their backup. I think 8,500 is viable. The only risk with him is that he might not see many shots on goal. So I think that implied risk of low shot volume, even though high win equity, is definitely something to worry about here with Grubauer. Leonard, 8,400 against the Coyotes. The Coyotes at least have been shooting enough to make that viable. I think Fleury, ended with like 10 DK when he gave up only two goals, only had like 20 saves. So just know that that's an implied risk. Saros, I think I am fine taking a flyer here on, or Rene, whoever starts for Nashville against the Dallas Stars in their first game without Sagan likely playing. Ullmark, that is going to be, or Hutton, whoever starts for Buffalo today, I think is going to be too cheap, because I think that money line is going to really grow for the Sabres if all those guys are out for Washington. The value, I think Darcy Kemper has a great chance of getting peppered by Vegas. I don't think he has great win equity, but if he does catch the win, his save number should be close to 30 and would likely destroy that price tag. Same with somebody like Gibson. If Gibson could somehow squeak out a win here against Colorado, he is likely going to see 30 plus saves as well. So I think that is just like the balancing act. You go in the middle and hope you don't get burned by overpaying for a loss and potentially not have enough saves, or you pay up and you pay up for the win, but you might not get that many saves, or you pay down and you pay down for the saves. But if they get absolutely torched and it's 3 or 4 goals, then they still likely don't meet value even at that small price tag. So thanks a lot for listening. Stacks, a couple stacks that I like here. I think as much as I don't love targeting Dallas on their first game, but if you get through their line rushes, they have a lot of nice value play, not value plays, but stackable cheap lines. I think the most popular big stacks are obviously going to be Toronto. They're going to be Vegas. They're going to be Colorado 1 will be super popular. I think Buffalo 1 is sneaky. And I think so that would be Taylor Hall, Eichel, and Olofsson. I really like maybe stacking that line as a little bit cheaper, even though Eichel is decently priced, but Olofsson getting the third piece as a discount. But like I said, tomorrow I will have this more organized on here. I'll put my top stacks with some value stacks, because I know that's what you guys have been looking for, those of you that play GPP. So again, thanks for listening. Hit that like button. Go check out all of our other great content here at FSI. Thanks.